I'll never forget, a little girl came up to me with a grave look on her face. Her brown, inquisitive eyes showed the seriousness of her question. She came up to me and looked up and said, "Pastor Brown, why didn't God just kill the devil?" Well, you know, her question brought a smile to my face, but her question also hit the heart of the matter concerning spiritual warfare. Have you ever wondered, why did God even leave the devil here in the first place to give us problems? I mean, Jesus Christ came, He died for our sins. Why didn't He, after the dying for our sins, why didn't He just take Satan and throw him into hell right away and just get rid of him? Why didn't He take all the demons and just hurdle them up and throw them all in the pit? Why, after dying for our sins, why, after defeating the devil, does He leave the devil, fallen angels, and demons here to give us problems? Why? ¿Por qué? I mean, that's a great question, and I believe it deserves to be answered. Now, God understands our problem, our predicament, because how in the world can we draw close to God while at the same time having to fight off the enemy? Our allegiance is divided. Here we're trying to fight a warfare and yet come close to God, and there's a conflict. It's hard to do that. Well, God understands our problem, and so He has an eternal plan that does not include the devil. Because the Bible tells us that one day, if you read Revelation chapter 20, one day an angel's going to come and grab Satan and throw him into the prison for 1,000 years so he cannot deceive the nations anymore. And after that 1,000 years, he's going to let him go and he'll deceive for a short time, and then once and for all, God's going to take the devil himself and throw him, the Antichrist, the false prophet, all the angels, fallen angels, and all demons, and He's going to throw them into the lake of fire forever and ever, and we will never have to mess with them again. That's the final plan of God. That's the eternal plan. That's what this book tells us. The story of redemption includes the defeat of the villain. How many of y'all know when you watch a movie, you want the villain to go to prison for a lifetime, right? You want him out. You don't want to find out that the Joker got 5 years. That doesn't satisfy you. You want him out. You want him dead, right? Because if the villain dies, then no more problem with him. And that's what our desire is. We want the devil dead. We want the fallen angels dead. We want demons to be gone. We know that they're eternal beings, therefore they cannot die, but we know they are going to go to hell. And God has promised us one day they will be cast there. Even demons recognize that. Do you remember one time when Jesus was driving out a demon? The demon spoke to the man and said, "What do we have to do with you, Jesus, Son of God? Have you come to torture us before the appointed time?" Do you remember the demon said that? They knew there was an appointed time for their eternal judgment, but it wasn't then. Now, at the cross, Jesus has judged the devil and demons, but He has not yet thrown them into hell. He still leaves them here for a reason. So why? Well, when you understand when the appointed time is, you begin to discover why the devil is still here. Question: when is the devil's appointed time to be cast into the lake of fire? Anybody know when that time's going to be? It's at the end. Can you all say the end? That is the same time. Now listen to me. Are you ready? It's the same time you're going to be judged. That means Satan's eternal judgment is linked with your judgment. That means he's not going to be judged before you're judged. That means, what's the whole point of judgment? Is that you give an account to God of your life. So that means the devil is left here to test our faithfulness to God. And so there's a reason why God has left him here. Go over to Judges chapter 3, because here in this passage we'll discover that in the Old Testament, God did not remove all of Israel's enemies either. He left some of them to be in the land to give Israel problem. And here it tells us the reason why God left the enemies in the land. And from this reason, we'll discover that's the same reason why God left the devil, fallen angels, and demons in the earth today, why they're still on the planet giving us problems. Now, here's the reason. All right, Judges chapter 3, verse 1. Says, these are the nations the Lord left to do what? Why did God leave the nations there? To test all those Israelites who had not experienced any of the wars in Canaan. He did this only to do what? To teach warfare. Now, let's apply it to the devil. Why did God leave the devil here? Are you ready? To teach spiritual warfare to us. To teach us war. Pastor, why do we need to be taught warfare? Now think about it for a moment. When you go to a class and you get taught, what's the teacher intending to do? To give you lessons. Am I not right? You're supposed to learn lessons. So listen to me. Spiritual warfare teaches us lessons about God, about ourselves, and about eternal redemption. It teaches us to be courageous, to use the weapons of warfare, to fight off the devil. And through spiritual warfare, we learn a great deal that we could not learn any other way. You say, well, what do you mean by that? Let me give you 7 spiritual lessons that spiritual warfare teaches us, all right? Because there's a reason why the devil's here. And here's the first lesson that spiritual warfare teaches us. Are you ready? Number 1, it teaches us to take sides.